All right, everybody. Thank you for joining today's webinar. I will say good morning, good evening, potentially good afternoon. Wanted to welcome everyone to the webinar that we're having today, which is titled Embrace the Digital Workplace with a Modern Content Platform. This is presented by Newgen Software. Newgen is a leading provider of a unified digital transformation platform with native process automation, content services, and communication management capabilities. My name is Eric Schmitz. I am a sales manager here in the United States for Newgen Software, and I'm going to be your host and moderator throughout the webinar. So first off, let me go ahead and introduce our speakers for today. First up, we have Cheryl McKinnon, who is a principal analyst with Forrester. Cheryl delivers research and advisory services in the areas including enterprise content management, content platforms, information archiving, records and retention management, and then also digital workplace technologies. Cheryl is also joined by Arpan Bansal, who's a vice president of customer success at Newgen Software. Arpan has been with Newgen for over 22 years and has achieved impressive success in leading complex and large-scale digital transformation projects worldwide and across all verticals. Make sure you stick around throughout the entire presentation because at the end, we're going to open up the floor for any questions that you might have. We request you to type your questions in the question window of your GoToWebinar at any time. Our experts will get back to you after the webinar concludes. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and pass it to Cheryl. Go ahead, Cheryl.
Great. Thank you very much, and really appreciate the invitation to be here with all of you today. So, as mentioned, let's talk a little bit about modern content platforms and the essential role that they play in our modern digital workplace. Just a few points that we'll talk about today. We'll talk about content and the digital workplace. We'll look at some of the key trends that are shaping the content services market this year and into beyond. And my portion will then wrap up with some recommendations, and then we'll hand it over to our team at Newgen. So, content in today's digital workplace. Now, we know that many of us have gone through various forms of return to home office, back to main office, or hybrid models, and we're probably going to continue to have that flux in between for the next couple of years. But we do find, and for those of you who know Forrester Research, we have a large number of very large-scale surveys that we run every year. And so coming from our workforce survey and priority survey from last year, we do see that most organizations do expect a higher rate of full-time remote employees 2023 and beyond. Now, we do see that there are some vertical nuances. Energy, oil and gas, a little bit more remote office from a full-time point of view, also high tech and financial services. Sectors like healthcare and utilities where there's more face-to-face interaction requirements, a higher degree of back to office. So while we do have some of these nuances across different industries, we do see that more than 60% of organizations do expect to have that higher rate of full-time remote employees. So even though many of us are returning to office in some capacity, full-time or part-time, we need to continue to invest in this modern digital workplace. Now, these various forms of hybrid and anywhere work really depend on the flow of content, communication, the collaboration with colleagues and even external parties, and all of the processes around it. We kind of see that there's four pillars of anywhere work. Some of the fundamental characteristics might mean changing behaviors for some organizations, rethinking how we set goals and measure success, how we think about culture in terms of supporting different work models, and then of course, some of our focus here today, what are the core technologies needed to enable remote, hybrid, and anywhere work? Content really is an essential part of this modern digital workplace, but it doesn't stand alone. Content, whether it's documents or communications, rich media, visual collaboration, regardless of the format. We know that it's surrounded by essential enterprise applications. We know that we need to collaborate with writers. We need to be able to communicate and orchestrate, make sure the information is available time, and we want to be able to deliver this essential information through those preferred touch points, whether it's through mobile apps, desktop, web, or in many cases, even delivering that relevant filtered content through key applications like ERP or CRM systems. And one of the things that I've really been focusing on over the last year is this idea of the digital employee experience. That's kind of an opportunity and a gap for many organizations. And when we think about digital employee experience, it really is making sure that we're delivering the right tools, both hardware, software, and the quality information people need to do their jobs effectively. We're also seeing more and more interest in organizations starting to personalize those workplace environments and thinking about taking that next step down around the digital workspace, knowing that we have different content and application and data requirements for different kinds of roles. If I'm a salesperson that's on the road all the time, I might be happy with a tablet, my key contracts, and an integration with my preferred CRM system. Whereas if I'm a heavy-duty engineer working with complex CAD drawings or other kind of graphic objects, I may need a heavy desktop environment with lots of integrations to heavy footprint applications. So by thinking through the right flow of content, the essential integrations, the process that surrounds it, we can start to tailor that digital workplace and workspace to our key employee personas. Now, this is a data point I really have been looking at closely year over year for about the last 4 to 5 years now. And it's really important because we've been looking at employees that basically self-describe or present as highly engaged in their work environment, meaning they're keen, they're able to go the extra mile, they're willing to help out, versus employees that are less engaged in their work. So perhaps they're a little bit disillusioned, perhaps they're looking for other roles. But the differences, if you see the dark green bar and the light green bar, the differences are quite dramatic in some areas. But one of the consistent year-over-year patterns I'm really intrigued by is the fact that those highly engaged employees, the two things that year over year stand out as the top two things they appreciate about their work environment is, number one, access to the information they need to get their job done, and second, the ability to collaborate with their peers. Some of the biggest differences between the highly engaged and the less engaged employees are also around their perception of their IT teams. You know, the highly engaged employees strongly believe that their IT teams are there to help them, coach them, make them comfortable on new technologies, and enable them to do their job. But as we think about the role of content, information, context, and process in the modern digital workplace, we really need to think about this data point of the importance of collaboration with peers and access to information they need in a timely fashion. So let's now move into some of the key trends shaping our content management market. Now, I've said this for a few years now that from a platform and architecture point of view, that generational war has been won. We've evolved over the last decade away from older on-premises systems to a range of flexible cloud-first and cloud-friendly platforms. We still see appetite for on-premises systems for very specific kinds of use cases. We don't think that's going to go away in the foreseeable future, but we're seeing much more interest in using software as a service, using private cloud, and helping re-architect some of these key content components for modern architectures. If you take a look at what we're expecting into 2025, not a surprise. You know, we've been tracking the evolution of these intelligent content services, AI and machine learning. And of course, now as we look forward, we expect to see much more interest in various forms of generative AI. So what are the key trends driving the market today? The first thing that I think is really important is that we're seeing much more interest and involvement by line of business leaders, operational leaders, VP of a line of business, stepping up their influence because they need to solve some very specific content and data-rich pain points. And so we're seeing more interest in the market around packaged applications for perhaps vertical or horizontal use cases, vendors providing more pre-built accelerators and templates for common scenarios. And so we'll dig more into that in just a moment. The second key trend that we've been tracking in terms of the evolution of this market clearly is the rise and ongoing infusion of AI and machine learning into our content management stacks. We're starting to see now more pre-trained models that vendors are providing to help their customers kickstart common data extraction patterns, or perhaps identify sensitive data such as in IDs or know your customer in banking, and just to provide more smart recommendations, easier ways of engaging with content through things like natural language as part of a search experience. And looking into the short-term future, our recent research around the top trends to be looking at for 2024 says that the number one thing to watch is generative AI. I think that in the world of content especially, this has some significant transformational opportunities for businesses. The third trend that we've been continuing to track is this ongoing requirement to include essential external stakeholders into our content-rich processes, such as customers, contractors, perhaps our law firms or design agencies. And we have these moments, what we are calling the content microprocess. That means we need to go out and ask for information, provide forms, provide identification, perhaps request an e-signature. And we're starting to see these continue to rise, throughout the last couple of years of remote work, but these are processes that are becoming much more ingrained in business activities. And license and pricing models need to evolve to make sure we can adjust and include these external users as well. The fourth trend that we're tracking is the ongoing rise and update around data protection and privacy laws in many jurisdictions across the world. We found that especially over the last 12 to 18 months, this has been a significant driver in terms of raising interest once again in meeting compliance obligations, especially when it comes to retention and deletion, getting rid of data perhaps it contains sensitive customer or employee data, knowing when you no longer need it to perform a business activity, and making sure it's securely disposed of. So we're seeing kind of a re-ignition of interest in information governance programs, with privacy being one of the newer drivers here. And finally, the fifth trend that we'll talk about is the ongoing resurrection of interest in knowledge management. Again, because so many teams have become hybrid and remote, we need to continue to share our best practices, identify our most valuable examples, document our intellectual property, and make sure that we're using tools that allow us to document ongoing observation. I think this is going to continue to rise and help us rethink how we summarize content, share it, and make it available. So just a little bit of a deep dive into each of these 5 trends. First, when we think about the idea of the content platform, we've been looking at this concept around the collaborative content services, transactional content services, federation and integration services, building on some of those foundational services that we need to perform the search, the metadata management, the repository services. So these are the things that we know that our technical leaders really are looking for when they're evaluating at modern platforms. We see increasingly vendors are providing a range of low and no code design tools, development tools to help organizations springboard some of those apps that they need to deliver to their line of business leaders. And we're seeing, again, some pre-packaging of some of the more common templates and workflows that we might need to serve a particular line of business. In this example, a human resource organization. The second trend that we're tracking, as mentioned, is the rise of AI and machine learning. The world, I think, has been changing quite dramatically over the last few years, and I think 2023 is going to be called out as one of those springboard years as we see generative AI come in and really start to augment a lot of our content authoring and summarization and translation, a lot of really valuable tools that we can use to continue to enrich our content and accelerate the development of it in particular use cases. The third trend, as we mentioned, is this rise of interest in bringing in external parties as part of our key workflows. So for example, if I work in a financial services organization, I may have a 10-step workflow to evaluate a new customer, verify his identification, and bring him in as a new account holder. Well, there may be moments during that 10-step workflow where I need to go out to that external client, request some forms or identification, other supporting documents, and then finally, as we conclude it, perhaps a digital signature. So as we see this content flow, both in and outside of our organization, we know that we need to embrace those external parties, bring them into the process with all the security and governance that we need to further automate a lot of these routine activities. The fourth trend is mentioned. This is a chart that some of my security and risk colleagues look at every couple of years, tracking the evolution of data protection and privacy laws around the world. And so, especially for those of you who are global organizations, knowing exactly what information is safe to capture, what kind of consent you may need to have, and then when we think about securely disposing of that data, once our task is complete, making sure that we're looking at some of the content platforms that have a rigorous approach to deletion, data protection, security, and so on. And then finally, as we think about this rise of knowledge management as yet another use case of content services platforms, we know that data exists everywhere. Many organizations are swimming in data as well as documents. There's information everywhere. But as we bring together content with context, perhaps where it fits in a project or program or campaign, we start to distill that information. And when we get to the heart of what's most important, that's really the knowledge, the best answers to the questions, the best examples of precedents or winning bids, the corporate memory and intellectual property. This is where we kind of distill down what's most important in our content and data landscapes. Just talk a little bit also about some of the recommendations for those of you looking to modernize your content services strategy. Where would you begin? Well, first thing is to understand that, this is still an era of a lot of modernization and migration that's happening in the market. We've seen a lot of organizations move, at least partially, to cloud-first platforms, but there's still a lot of legacy on-premises systems that still are serving particular application use cases and may have long-term value. So we still see that mixed approach, kind of a phased approach to modernization. When I talk to senior IT buyers and influencers on the topic of modernization of your content management systems, a few things are kind of top of mind over the last year or so. One is we know that the volume of content continues to grow, and not just the volume, but the different range of formats. We've all adopted new kinds of collaborative tools over the last couple of years to be able to work across time zones and geographies. We know that we've seen an explosion in terms of video as a key platform as we record meetings and knowledge transfer webinars, even something like this. So we need to make sure that we're looking at tools that can accommodate, not just for the documents of today, but all of the media types of tomorrow, the output of a lot of our work. We're also hearing that security and privacy leaders are continuing to look for better ways to find and understand documents and related data that might contain sensitive information, including particular patterns that might be a flag for personally identifiable information, whether that's social insurance number, social security number, credit card patterns. We know that some organizations have this all over the place, and a modern content services strategy with a good data protection and security capability helps us make sure we're in compliance with some of these evolving laws. I also hear from organizations in some of the regulated industries such as utilities and manufacturing, things like quality management systems, document review processes, enforcing risk controls. There's a lot of document related requirements here to meet certain safety and quality standards, especially when we're working with a large number of external contractors and we need to keep everyone on the same change control version of a CAD drawing and so on. We are seeing continued preparation for modernization and migration from older on-prem systems to newer cloud architectures, but doing so thoughtfully, understanding that there may be complexity in some of the on-premises systems that will take time and perhaps are still delivering value. And we're also seeing more interest in acceleration of more common activities in terms of automation, such as document generation, providing more template libraries and being able to quickly spin up proposals, bid responses, contracts. So tools that are providing a good range of tools for templating, process automation, and content generation. So this remains a very vibrant market. Some of our data from our 2022 software survey tells us that 67% of the software decision makers currently responsible for content management systems plan to increase their spend over 2023 and 2024. Another 24% expect to spend pretty much the same. So very few organizations, less than 10%, are actually thinking of downsizing their investment in content services. Also seeing a really nice pace of innovation in this market. We're seeing more maturity around vertical focus and the expertise to help organizations in those sectors be productive as quickly as possible, and delivering on some of those packaged applications for common patterns of work, whether that's in banking, public sector, education. Faster time to value is really important today. And again, we see the recognition that content is a foundational component in our modern digital workplace. Application integration is a really key thing, not only with the common productivity tools that we use to create documents and spreadsheets and presentations, but also those essential enterprise applications where we might manage our customer data or our invoice output. So ERP systems, HR management systems, anything that supplements and complements documents with the background data from cases or clients. All of these integrations are essential today. We think that content services are really the core underpinning elements of a modern content platform, being able to decompose some of the capabilities, swap in perhaps a third-party tool if you need to, or use what the vendor is providing, but wrapping up all these APIs, web services into the meaningful applications that are going to help address your use cases. And the use cases that we identify, this is coming from last year's landscape report on the content platforms market. The 4 scenarios that are most common, both in terms of what customers are looking to accomplish, as well as the scenarios that many of the leading vendors are focused on. Document-centric collaboration, helping day-to-day employees be as productive as possible as they're creating content, sharing it, reviewing it with their peers or their managers. Document-centric process automation, streamlining many of these workflows and tasks, basically trying to take time and effort out of a lot of our common workflows. Information governance, making sure that we're protecting and maintaining information in line with laws and policies. And increasingly intelligent document extraction, using some of those data extraction capabilities to remove the data or extract the data from static document types like an invoice in a PDF format, extract that useful data, massage it into the format, and have that delivered into a downstream application such as ERP or an accounts payable processing system. Not going to spend too much time on all of the extended use cases, but we see organizations also looking to support knowledge management, as we saw earlier, horizontal and vertical content-rich applications, secure content sharing with our external parties. And we're also seeing organizations wanting to build out content hubs, those common repositories that might sit behind one or more enterprise applications. So one place to go for the truth in terms of contracts, agreements, proposals, and so on. As we think about moving to cloud as part of our modernization effort, sometimes we see that there's a need to adapt to new skills. We often see that organizations that move from kind of classic on-prem architectures to cloud maybe have less demand over time from some of the classic infrastructure management, but more time to manage things like the vendor relationship, to look at the analytics, the service level agreements that vendors have committed to, what's the uptime. So we do see that migration to cloud is typically a phased activity. It might be moved application by application, perhaps net new applications start in a cloud-first environment, and older on-prem systems get moved over a period of time. So we do see that there is a need to adapt to some of the changing skills, think more about change management as vendors will deliver new features and fixes over time. They'll take the brunt of the effort there. So less time to have to invest on your internal teams in terms of infrastructure maintenance, patches, bug fixes, and so on. I see that migration is absolutely a team sport. And if you are looking to modernize your content platforms, make sure you've got a good alignment between your IT teams, your business stakeholders, who ultimately are the owners or the creators of that content, and whatever resources you're using from the vendor or some of their preferred partners. So think about some of the efforts pre-migration, during migration, and post-migration. So with those recommendations, I'll hand it over to our team at Newgen.
All right, thank you very much, Cheryl. There were some really great insights into the key trends that are ushering in the era of a fully digital workplace. And for our next speaker, I will now invite Arpan to speak on how Newgen is aiding this motion. Go ahead, Arpan. Arpan, you might be on mute.
Thank you, Cheryl, for sharing valuable insights. And I look forward to build upon this foundation. Hello, everyone. Feeling stuck and how to fast track transformation journey. If you are using a legacy ECM and relate to these sentiments, you have come to the right place to start. Today, we will address challenges and explore key strategies for a seamless migration to a modern ECM platform. Let me begin by highlighting the top 7 challenges that come across while using a legacy ECM. Number 1 is user experience. Legacy ECM system user interfaces have become outdated. And also the system does not go well with new productivity applications. This hampers the efficiency and productivity of not only employees, but also customers and partners interacting with these systems. A seamless and intuitive user experience is crucial to thrive in the modern business environment. Another challenge is high maintenance cost and rigid licensing models. The point is that maintaining a legacy ECM system is cumbersome. Heavy customizations, absence of low code, all it adds up to the higher operational expenses. Additionally, traditional licensing policies lead to significant payouts as compared to what the value organizations get from these systems. Number 3 is limited scalability for emerging business needs. As business grows, legacy ECM systems may struggle to keep up. A recent example is that during COVID, we witnessed an upsurge in video content, and organizations are really struggling to manage it. And if you see, a lot of new applications have now moved to cloud and SaaS, and these older systems are not architected for such integrations. These, in addition to isolated repositories, are becoming great impediment to the business growth. The next challenge here is difficulty in meeting regulatory compliances. Businesses are becoming increasingly digital, and IT systems are getting exposed to the outer world. We see that security and compliance levels supported by legacy system is falling way short of expectations. Another important point is the ability, or I may say that inability to harness AI/ML capabilities. We will discuss more about it, but for now I say that legacy ECM systems cannot generate value from content and also do not help automation because they cannot leverage AI/ML. Whereas a modern ECM system imbibe AI/ML to unleash the power of content. Challenge number 6 is enabling a remote working. After COVID, remote working is becoming a norm. And there are 2 distinct challenges here. One, accessing content remotely to work on it in a secure way. And 2, ability for your teams to be able to access content while they are working in a collaborative way. And we see that both are becoming bottleneck in working efficiently in an organization. Finally, legacy ECM is constrained by legacy architecture. It does not have flexibility and scalability required in the modern cloud environment. Adopting a cloud native approach enables organizations to scale effortlessly. And in conclusion, I want to say that the legacy ECM systems are blocking progress and innovation. And a modern ECM system is a key to overcome these challenges. Now, with this context, let me introduce NewgenONE for contextual content services, a highly sophisticated content services platform. It comprehensively manages the entire lifecycle of a content, and today I am going to highlight some of its modern capabilities. First, it helps through the digital workplace. It helps organizations to set up a workplace for anytime, anywhere working. It offers a seamless integration with ecosystem and business applications, which significantly improve user productivity. To accelerate the pace of digital transformation, it comes with a built-in low-code automation platform consisting of forms, rule engine, process designer, business activity monitoring, a mobile application development, and many other such capabilities. The next point is that it is powered by AI ML capabilities, which empower organizations to achieve their business goals. It offers a full-fledged record management, which is certified for multiple global standards. And last but not the least, it has a portfolio of ready-to-use applications, which helps get a quick ROI for the organization. Now, before I elaborate further, I would like to share update from recent and latest wave report from Forrester. In this report, vendors are covered at a global scale, and Newgen is rated as a leader along with only 2 other vendors. And I must say that this is a testimony to the strength of our platform and offering. Ratings on several essential aspects are exceptionally good. And in subsequent section, I will highlight some of these essential features and aspects in a bit more detail. Now, the first focus area of the content services platform is to help set up a comprehensive digital workplace. Digital workplace enables anytime, anywhere working within the guardrails of companies' policies and compliance obligations. Advanced collaboration features help create an extended enterprise where customer, partner, employee all participate on a need basis. And there is a host of powerful features like collaborative editing on a document using Microsoft Word, a seamless integration with Microsoft Teams, Zoom. All it helps efficiently doing your teamwork. Next is that with built-in integrations, it offers an in-place content management solutions for applications such as Outlook, SharePoint, Microsoft Teams, and OneDrive. Users can continue to work conveniently from their application and need not to worry about complex record management policies. System takes care of it in the background. It also is coupled with powerful purpose-built desktops to enable full-fledged working on a content. It has features like tagging and annotating a video document, comparing documents, creating a new document using merging, splitting, and several advanced features. Moving on to the next slide. Content management is an essential infrastructure supporting various applications within an enterprise. NewgenONE offers a quick and low-code approach to leverage content to its full potential. It out-of-the-box integrates with leading applications like SAP, Salesforce, Guidewire, and many other core banking and insurance applications. These integrations are designed to maximize user productivity and ranges from simple document access within the application to enable a full-fledged working on content. And what makes them exceptional is that they are developed in the native framework of these applications. As a result, users don't feel like they are working on 2 different systems. In addition to the user convenience, NewgenONE keeps compliance and security at the forefront. It provides strong user authentication and auditing of each activity. Put together, it ensures that content remains protected and meet regulatory compliances all the time. Now, on this slide, let me explain how AI can transform your content operations. First, I'll take few examples. First, it can automatically generate metadata from a variety of documents, which can further be used to organize content or to enforce some policies. And needless to say that this significantly saves manual effort. The second is about automatic classification and data extraction. You need not to worry about spending hours on scanned documents. Also, no longer old and traditional way of defining and refining templates for data extraction. With AI-based classification and extraction, our system automatically classify and dig important information with very high accuracy. It also helps automate full document processing and provides an intuitive user interface if any correction is needed during the process. Next is sentiment analysis. And let me take an example here to explain. Let's say in a business case, an email correspondence from a customer needs to be managed with a case file. AI helps here to automatically attach customer correspondence to the right case file. It uses NLP to detect the sentiments in the correspondence and also escalates it if there is an urgent action needed. And think of it as an infrastructure. It similarly applies to many such examples. Next important point is around harnessing the power of generative AI. We have a very progressive roadmap for integrating NewgenONE with generative AI platform, curating content, creating summaries, enriching content, generating outbound templates, and to an extent asking questions and queries on a collection of documents, and much more. So in summary, net, Newgen offers a very powerful and seamlessly integrated AI capabilities with its intelligent content services. Next focus area is record management. NewgenONE offers one of the most comprehensive record management capabilities available in the market today. It helps manage compliances with end-to-end content lifecycle management, right from the content capture till the content is disposed, and in some cases also if it is needed to be transferred to the National Archives. Along with comprehensive lifecycle management, it offers significantly new and contemporary features. And before I go and explain new features, let me begin by highlighting its core strength. NewgenONE is certified for global standards like DoD 5015 from US, VERS from Australia, NRAA in Oman. And I must say that these certifications are a testimony to its compliance and reliability. AI/ML for record classification, which means smarter, more efficient classification process to scale effortlessly. Managing record within the familiar applications like Outlook and SharePoint, which means no complex migration needed. These days, organizations deal a lot with multimedia content, including video, files, and social media records. NewgenONE extends its record management capabilities to handle this modern content type with equal ease. Federation is another unique feature. It can search records across multiple systems, and in some cases, it can also help apply and manage retention policies onto the external system. Finally, the technology behind it is a differentiator. NewgenONE is built on a modern cloud native and microservices enabled architecture, which makes it agile and massively scalable. And to summarize, let me highlight a success story. A marquee customer in Singapore has gone live early this year. They migrated entire record set from HP Dream and a huge volume of video content from a legacy in-premise system to a fully managed cloud services based on our platform. Low-code application development platform. The content services suite is well integrated and augmented with a low-code application development platform. With the low-code approach, our customers are empowered to build Fusion teams consisting of IT developers and business analysts. These teams can leverage low-code capabilities to quickly come up with content-rich applications. The platform offers full spectrum of low-code capabilities, which are needed to support development of simple to complex applications. It has process builder, UI builder, data modeling tools, and along with the foundational elements, it also has advanced capabilities like RPA, rule engine, and ready-to-use case management capabilities. Finally, it has a whole bucket of ready-to-use content accelerators, both horizontal and vertical in nature. Enterprises can start small, let's say for one line of business, and then can scale it really fast across enterprises to include all use cases cutting across employee, customers, and partners to cover all stakeholders in the organization. NewgenONE is highly optimized for AWS, Azure, and other prominent clouds. It is fine-tuned to leverage native capabilities. For example, intelligent storage. Content which is frequently accessed can reside in a high-speed storage, and content that is not so frequently accessed can be stored in a cost-effective storage. While all this happens, system takes care of the content movement using those policies. And there are several other examples like, content delivery network for optimized experience, computer vision technologies, container orchestrations, and many other. Most importantly, services can also work in a hybrid structure to fully support organizational priority and constraint. This brings me to the next section of my presentation. We often come across questions from our customers expressing their apprehensions about moving out of the current systems. They say that we want NewgenONE, we like NewgenONE, but what about migration? I have a huge data, lots of customization, so many integrations. Can we move to the new system in a practical, viable way? Now, the good news here is that we have the right toolkit, operational processes, and partner ecosystem to assure you of success. And we have done it successfully in past for several customers. Some examples here, like 200 terabyte of data from OpenText for Ministry of Corporate Affairs, 40 terabyte from IBM CMOD and FileNet for Venerable. For the example that I took earlier for Republic Polytechnic in Singapore, we have migrated whole set from HP Trim, which includes a huge set of video content also. And there are several such examples. And I must tell you that we have worked very hard to achieve this. To expedite migration, we have developed a bulk API for rapid data transfer, partnered with GSIs globally to co-develop a comprehensive toolkit and operational platforms for seamless migration. Not only migration, but reconciliation and entire process management as well. Five days to better ECM. Now, I would like to conclude my presentation with this proposal. We recognize that every organization is unique and the ECM migration requires a custom approach. To ensure successful and seamless transition, we propose a 5-day workshop. During this workshop, we will work with you to thoroughly assess your current ECM landscape and understand your specific requirement and challenges. Together, we will explore opportunities for process automation, enhancing customer experience, addressing regulatory compliances, optimizing cost, and finally, to maximize return on investment. The workshop's output will be a comprehensive roadmap guiding you towards greater ROI, improved customer experience, operational excellence, and innovation. We will make sure that our collaborative approach keeps your organization's goal and objective in the forefront. And with this, I will conclude my presentation. Thank you all for your time and attention throughout this webinar. We are excited about the possibilities that NewgenONE can bring to your organization. Let's make your ECM transformation journey a remarkable success. Over to question and answer.
Alrighty. Thank you so much, Arpan. Really appreciate that. And as mentioned, we're going to go ahead and move to the questions and answers portion of this presentation. So let me go ahead and see what we have. We have time for a question for both. So let's go ahead with Cheryl to start.
Okay, sure.
Alrighty, Cheryl. What are the top 3 things companies should keep in mind while migrating to a new platform?
3 things. I think the 3 things I'd recommend, first off, looking for a vendor that has some background and experience, working with customers like you in your own industry or vertical, especially when it comes to moving from older systems or other applications. So they kind of have the track record. I would also suggest looking for a vendor that's got the right kind of mix of core capabilities, the breadth and depth of, whether your core use cases around process automation, data extraction, more of the collaborative use cases. Make sure you've got the right mix of content services in their stack. And then I think also, finding a vendor that's got the right kind of pace of innovation that kind of matches your pace in terms of, what are the different cloud models that they might offer, kind of meet you where you are at your own cloud journey.
All right, great. Very, very, very well done on the answer there. Let's go ahead and see what else we have. Arpan, which legacy vendors have Newgen migrated from to their platform in the past? And also kind of a two-parter here, I guess. What are the typical timelines that could be expected?
Sure. So I think before I took some examples during the presentations that we have done it pretty much with all legacy ECM applications like CMOD, FileNet, HP Trim is another example, recent example. So in terms of coverage and in terms of number of those, we have done pretty much all the legacy ECM systems. And I must say that there are 3 parts to the whole migration piece. One is to be able to take out the data out from the system. Second is the entire process where the migration takes place. And third is how does it get into the new modern system. And while you as a customer you do all this, you have to be a little innovative. When I say a little innovative, I mean that you can't expect that a 200 terabyte data will come over in the new system overnight. So the approach that we take is that we first do a content value assessment, and basis the content which is needed upfront in the new system, we prioritize the content migration in that fashion. And then from a technology and toolset standpoint, we have as I said in my presentation, that we have developed bulk migration APIs, which our GSI partners are using to create a complete operational platform which supports migration. Some organizations choose to do migration in offline environment of business peak hours. Some organizations are in a bit hurry to outdate the older system, so they keep doing it during the business hours as well. And we kind of support both. But you can expect that it may range somewhere from 2 to 3 months to 6 months kind of time frame. But we make sure that the new system is ready to use from the day 0. And within a couple of weeks, you get all the important data migrated to the new system, which kind of gives you a early start. And in few cases, we have also taken a further step by integrating our system to pull the content on need basis, which means that suppose if the older content is not there in the system, but user needs it for processing any item, it can be pulled on demand. So if you keep both the system alive and give a little overlap, these are few strategies which can help you to take the whole thing in a most practical way.
Great,
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Much appreciated. Let me see if we have any more. I think that's about it actually. Just the questions per person. So with that, we can go ahead and start to wrap things up for the final portion of this webinar. First off, I want to thank you, Cheryl and Arpan, for your presentations and your times today. Really appreciate all the valuable insights that you have provided. So we're going to go ahead and draw the curtains on this hopefully very engaging webinar for everybody that is attended. You can also expect an email from us with a copy of the recording for anybody who has registered for this webinar. Those who are not able to share their questions today, please feel free to send these over via email. If you're interested to know more as well, or to see the Newgen platform in action, please do visit our website or write us at info@newgensoft.com. Thank you again, and please enjoy the rest of your day ahead. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Cheryl, Eric. Thank you, everyone. Bye.